I think it's worse for Ghost than I am, actually.
Oh god. I'm starting to think this may be a mistake, but I've already committed.
Listen, I already regret everything, and soon you will too.
Great. Because we are now recording.
Lovely. Alright, everyone, for the
Alright,
record,
ship
don't
number...
say we didn't warn you.
Oh my
First of
God.
all, hey Cake, I'm the captain of this crew.
God,
Alright.
Cake.
Speaking
Yeah,
of which,
Cake.
Alright, so they finally
Shark bait,
Oh, we-
hoo-ha-ha! Shark bait, hoo-ha-ha!
This is my crew for my multi-crew ship that may or may not even require a crew. The Tiburon.
I think it's pronounced as Tiberius.
No.
Yes.
Tiburon.
And according to one of us here,
None of us.
apparently this ship may have a double reference. So in addition to Tiburon being Spanish for shark, I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to my... What are you? Like, to my crew? Like, I know Cake is just gunnery sergeant over there.
I just run around and be a triple.
Okay, great.
No, he's your logistics commander.
No,
We're screwed.
That's
No,
it,
it's
this
okay.
is how we die.
no, it's okay. No, just be a triple. It's okay.
Alright. So... Alright, enough of that anyway. So it looks like... the whole entire thing with the giant laser on top of a hammerhead chassis has been confirmed. It is big, it is huge, and some people are afraid that that big laser gun is linked up with the pilot's seats, so making this pretty much a solo multi-crew ship.
Supposedly.
Potentially. But it is what it is. So let me introduce my crew real quick. I have my trigger-happy gunnery sergeant, Kate Crazy.
A pleasure, and I'm going to regret this later, aren't I?
No, we all do. We have Ghost, that you guys have, you remember from previous videos, and co-host.
Yo.
And that guy.
Star Trek is the greatest. Is that for
No.
Star Trek?
Oh my god. Anyways, so this is my crew for the multi-crew, so I thought I might as well bring the entire team along to see how we think about this new ship itself. So, as you can see, this Tiburon looks like either size 4 or size 5 dual guns in the front. We also have two turrets, but they are definitely not the hammerhead turrets that we remember. So as you can see, it looks like the guns are up top. And they don't look manned, they look remote. And they all face forward.
I mean,
So,
makes sense.
yeah. So these guns in the back look about the same size as the ones in the front, so we have to assume they are either size 4, size 5s. Probably size 5s to make up for, to sort of make up for the lack of other gunnery, a lack of other hard points here. So let's go ahead and bring it over here. This is the hammerhead currently, and as you can see, there is a massive difference in geometry.
Yeah, I'll say.
Yep.
Yeah.
So pretty much the only thing that the Tiburon pretty much has like inherited is everything from right over here, from where the turrets are, and then to the back, which would be its engines and its aft. After that, it does not have the multi-gun turrets, which makes sense because it looks like the role for the Tiburon is much different. So instead of fighter screening, which is what the hammerhead's for, it is mainly for punching up and equal to its size or anything remotely to a large ship.
Well,
I
I think it's an interesting idea. I do think that it is perhaps a bit prone to some of the same problems that might have turned the Ares into a mess,
Why?
but we'll get around to that in a bit of a second.
Oh, I like this ship for what it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, you do or you don't?
I do.
Its aft actually reminds me of like a Star Trek ship in some sense. Yes.
Mhm.
And also the forward gun is the forward heavy cannon is on the nose. Kind of reminds it has a if it's a spinal spinal lance, whatever it's called. It's actually closer to the Galaxy Axe class, if you guys remember what that is.
No, I don't watch Star Trek.
No, I'm talking about the guys in the view.
Ah,
Okay, starting
okay.
to the chat.
I don't know what the chat is. I'm old.
Yeah, and you say that this has a hidden. So you saying the Tiburon also is referencing Tiberius?
Yes. Yeah, think about it. Tiburon equals that to Tiberius. Think about it.
I mean, I guess
Really?
a name only.
Yeah, name only.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. I can see this, like, definitely catering towards that Star Trek fantasy. I am not going to lie, the more you, like, tell me about it.
Yeah, the more you think about it, you can actually even do the whole entire scene with the Galaxy Axe literally pointing at his spinal lance. Right to that Cardassian. Is it Cardassian or Klingon? Let me know in chat what it is.
If anyone knows what he's talking about, I'm not familiar with Star Trek, but feel free to comment below to help out with the context. So, yeah. Overall, this is actually a very more than just a simple, like, just copy and paste sort of ship. They definitely added a lot of extra work to the front. Now, what I'm actually kind of curious about, and let me just go ahead and go over here, is that there's extra geometry right here on the port and starboard side bow area.
Do we have a side view of this? Because I need to take a look at that for a second to figure this out.
Oh, it's this thing right here. Oh, wait. It's like...
Is that a docking port?
Yeah, that's a docking port.
See, I can't tell. Is this supposed to slide down and cover the docking port, or what? What is
It doesn't
No, it
look
doesn't
like
look
it.
this?
Actually, you know what? Looking at the side view, it kind of reminds me of. I mean, just from this view alone, it kind of reminds me of the. What's that one from Star Trek Invasions? Chat, because I can't remember whatever it was, but it's a Typhon class. If you guys remember that ship.
Oh,
Just
right.
looking at this design, I am a little bit confused as to why the docking port is inset into the hull instead of being flush with its edge. But I'm just going to skip that little nitpick there. We'll deal with that later.
It might extend if you get what I mean. It might just extend out.
Yeah, we have
but the
seen...
docking collar already does that.
Yeah, docking collar extends. I think this is meant to prevent... I think this is meant to, like, create, like, some cover for people coming in and out of the porthole. Sorry. Through
Portal.
porthole. through the airlock. There we go. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah. So basically, it's basically a cheap knockoff of the Perseus.
Oh, you're gonna ruffle some feathers with those.
Oh, I know.
Cheap.
Is that the Perseus? No.
I mean, honestly,
no.
it looks like a assault version of like the Retaliator that
Or
is
better
not
yet,
solely reliant on their torpedoes and then useless afterwards.
yeah.
Which actually makes me wonder, does this still keep the Hammerhead's missile and torpedo armaments as well?
That one doesn't even have information. Also, is it just me or is it?
Tough to say. Those missile ports could be anywhere. The classic design I've noticed in most of the ships up until this point is that if they're not hanging off the sides somewhere, there should be some kind of torpedo port up front if this thing is carrying, and didn't really quite see any in the first shot. It'd be kind of weird, but I don't think any of the ships we have thus far have any sort of vertical launching torpedoes.
No, the closest thing we have to vertical launching are the MX, the Guardian MX that does have like vertical launching, as well as some of the Vandal ships.
Yeah, the MX does have this sort of angled launch. I guess you could actually say that about the Constellation series as well. Those size 2s up top do pop up and out of the back of the ship, but unless there is some kind of launch mechanism hidden in one of these panels, I'm not really seeing it. Though with a gun that big, it makes you sort of ask the question, Is there even a point to carrying the torpedoes?
mean,
Why not?
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's always good to have, but if your whole point is to use a giant gun, well, sort of begs the question, if you gave up all of this space for one giant spinal mount, how much room do you really have for torps?
Well, let's just
Probably
say
like
that you.
4 torps.
Well, let's just say that your power plant's hit.
Well, that's a great use for them. Let's just see if they've got the room for it on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm sure
we'll
they
see,
do.
we'll only find that out once the internal models are released.
Yeah, and I think this is a size 7 laser. Just comparatively to the size. But the thing is, it's bespoke. So people speculating on the size of the spinal laser is kind of pointless because there's no point in switching it out or any hard points. Now the rest of the weapons though definitely looks like can be swapped out.
Probably size 5-ish looking M series laser cannons.
Yeah.
And that looks to be the same across all of them as single mounts, with a total of 4, all of which have forward-facing firing arcs.
Mhm.
So anything directly in front of this ship is subject to eating all of those guns and the spinal mount, but it does make you wonder who exactly is controlling these guns.
Yeah, like the problem is that like this may just be like another miniature like solo Idris scenario where like basically just one person can control the Idris laser. If they make it at least 2 people where the pilot controls the guns and slave the turrets in the back as well, then yes. And then like the second person uses the laser, I'd say less people will have an issue with it. But if the pilot can have control of everything, then this just becomes one of the best solo ships, honestly, to troll with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does get me thinking, just for a bit of comparison here, without considering the spinal mount here.
Mhm.
4 size 5s is as much pilot-controlled firepower as your Constellation. That is that is what 4 size 5s looks like. Granted, these are mounted to turret mounts, so I would expect that these have a fairly wide arc of fire available to them, and if they're individually controlled remotely, then in theory they can just turn wherever their mounts will allow.
Mhm.
But even with that, I assume that the gimbaling range, if they're pilot controlled, is a relatively wide arc of fire, at least on the horizontal. The vertical may not necessarily be as great. Those
Mhm.
chin turrets will probably struggle to look up, and the back turrets will probably struggle to look down. We'll have to. Only time will tell who exactly is controlling those guns and if they are remote controllable.
Mhm.
But that center mount is the bit that has me concerned. This being a spinal-mounted weapon, I very much doubt that this is a gimbaled weapon. This is probably just going to be a fixed forward-firing weapon. And at least from the pictures that have been provided so far, this looks to be a beam weapon.
Yes, it is a
Um,
beam weapon. So for
that
all you
is-
Star Trek enthusiasts, you have your freaking beam.
Boom.
Star Trek, yes.
That is a very nasty thing to balance. Because on the one hand, from the designer's perspective, you have a spinal-mounted weapon to which much of your ship is dedicated. I expect that this thing is supposed to hit really hard, and for its stated purpose, to punch above its weight. That
equal.
implies that you can aim this thing at almost anything, and if it is as big as you, it is going to hurt a lot, and if it is smaller than you, it should be dead. But
Mhm.
the problem
But
with
that's
beam
assuming you can-
weapons...
Yep.
Yeah, and there's the problem with this. Beam weapons are hit scan in almost every game. There is no lead time, unlike basically every other weapon we have access to. And so far, the only other beam weapon in this game is an Idris main weapon mount. If this thing is maneuverable enough and has a hit scan weapon that deletes people, you can imagine that that might have some potentially negative balance problems associated with it. You could get around this by, say, having...
My counter argument is that, given the current Hammerhead situation, this thing does not have the turret coverage to cover itself when it's using that laser. And then because it's a consistent beam, it is easy to predict the direction as you're watching it move. So if you were a fighter, like a medium or light, it's not exactly hard to avoid it. Now, if you're like something a lot bigger and more cumbersome, like the Paladin, Asgard, Connie, the Ironclad, yeah, you're going to you may need to like be very cautious and make sure you're hitting its flanks and its rear.
With the implementation of the latest radar systems, it does bring up the question for other people of how close they need to get to hit this ship, depending on what size of radar they're carrying. But also, as it carries what is presumably a hit scan spinal weapon, it doesn't really matter what the radar is on this thing, at least for the forward mount.
As long as you know how far the laser goes, and you just look in that direction and point. Well, that's the full breakdown from Cake on the guns. Any last minute items on here? This thing is pretty straightforward, so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, since we're all talking about gunnery here, one thing I do see very lacking on this ship, where are the PDCs? Now,
it doesn't deserve any.
Yes, I know. That may be very much an intentional decision, and that may very well be good for balance purposes. There's something with the ability to do all of this. Probably shouldn't be able to just do whatever.
Yeah, it might be an oversight, to be honest, because the old Hammerhead technically didn't need it because it's meant to screen fighters with its turrets. The Tiburon might need at least 4 or 3, to be honest.
Yeah, because what they don't tell you is, in that picture of the Hammerhead you see on the upper left, do you know how many guns are in that picture?
Yeah.
20. There are 20 guns in that picture.
Oh yes, I did forget to mention the Tiburon did inherit this from the Hammerhead as well. That would be actually this rear turret, which is carrying 4 Size 4s.
Well, I guess it's nice to know there's a little bit of anti-fighter protection. For those of you who are...
I think we've gone long enough until we get in game, which definitely the 4 of us are going to definitely try to man it and see if we only need 2 people in this, or maybe 1. We will see. All right.
For now. Also, get it now.
Okay, we know you're getting it.
Yes.
Yeah, you're an instant buy. How about you two? Are you guys instant buy, or you need to see it in person first?
You know what? This is a rent before you buy kind of situation. Granted, it doesn't have the same extreme that the Ares series has, where it's totally dependent on its one big gun and nothing else. On the condition, of course, that those guns are, pilot controlled. But respectfully, I am going to wait and see and rent this thing, and then decide if I buy it. Unlike some people here who will buy anything if it even vaguely looks Star Trek related.
Hi.
Yep. All right. Well, Perseus has finally got a little bit of competition. It has just different ways of tackling the same problem. All right, then. That's it for this video.
And now we're gonna go sing Star Trek.
Don't do it.
Shut it down. Shut it down. Shut it down. Shut it down.
Oh, there we go.